I think I need to start this video by saying that I love Silksong. I'm almost there to 100% completion and my journey has been memorable. If I was to give this game a rating, if I was to give it a score out of 100, I would give it 95. I think it is an amazing, beautifully crafted and rewarding game. D'un enfant sur le banc, faridula si manette, doni poina volinette, pina sans mi manisette. If you had to wait 7 years for a game and this is what you get, those 7 years of wait were worth it. Completely, absolutely, all the way through worth it. I've been having nothing but fun. That's not true. But for the most part, I've been having nothing but fun. The reason why I think fun could be in jeopardy in this game is because the devs made some very questionable decisions, design choices here and there, which may hinder people's ability to have a good time, which is the main focus of this video. It's not about making the game easier, it's about making the game more fun, something people don't seem to understand. I'm talking about the sweats here. And this is coming from a sweat. I love hard and challenging games. Sometimes I will even go out of my way to seek the challenge and make it harder on myself. But even I understand that this game, especially the early game in Silksong, can be very punishing and borderline not fun at all. I'm looking at the numbers here and this game sold 3 million copies on Steam alone in the first 5 days. I want to clap. First of all, I want to clap because this is such an amazing milestone for an indie game and I can't wait to see how many people buy the game because it is absolutely worth it. However, looking at the numbers, I know most people are busy with life, work, and just taking the time, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the game. But looking at the numbers, out of those 3 million people, only 7% beat the game on normal playthrough. I'm talking about not doing anything, not going out of the way to achieve anything. So 7% out of 3 million, and I gotta be honest with you, unless they do some things in this game to make the experience better, I don't think this number is going to reach 20% in a month or two. I think most people will drop the game. Now, I am talking as a sweat, and I think the early part of the game, the first third of the game, should be easier. There are ways to balance the early bits of this game without breaking the game, because at the end of the day, this is still an experience that is supposed to challenge you so that you feel rewarded when you overcome said challenge. But again, there's one metric which matters more than difficulty. It is fun. If you are not having fun playing the game, then there is no point. This is a very hard game, probably one of the hardest games that people are ever going to play, and with the traction the game is getting, more people are going to get into it. There's a big chance that this game wins Game of the Year over Expedition 33, and even more people will try to experience what the best Game of the Year, because again, some people live under a rock and they don't know what's happening outside of the rock. So when they try to to play that Game of the Year, they will just realize, wait, this is just a sweat simulator, and this is not what Silksong should be. It should be, again, a beautiful and rewarding but mostly fun experience. And for the reasons I'm going to list below, I think those things might get in the way of people having fun. This was a very long intro, but sometimes people get offended and very emotional when you attack something that they love. This is why I am telling you that everything I'm going to say in this video comes from a place of love. I have lots of love for this game, but it needs to get better. When I say that Silksong is a difficult game, I think people will immediately think about enemies dealing double damage, but that's not really my main concern. I think this game has multiple layers of difficulty, and the damage you receive is the least annoying issue, known issue for me. In my opinion, the economy, the runbacks, and then the damage, all three of them contribute together to make your life miserable, especially early on. Some of those issues will persist throughout the entirety of the game, but mostly the economy. Again, the economy, how you make money, how you spend money, is a big issue in this game, and we need to talk about it. There is a door in the file fields which require you to pay 30 rosaries to be opened, and whenever you step out of the door and back in, you have to pay again 30 rosaries. Now you may wonder, why would I even want to pay multiple times? It's because there is a merchant inside who sells very good stuff that you may want to get your hands on. However, those things are also expensive. So first of all, they want you to spend money on the door every single time you try to open it, and they want you to spend additional money on the merchant when you get inside. I don't understand this type of design philosophy. What is the game trying to teach me? I should just save my money and just not spend it? Because money is going to be the central focus in this game, even more than trying to get good. You need money for pretty much everything, and some things are absolutely necessary, mandatory even. The maps, the pins, some charms, some slots, some benches. I don't mind the benches having to be bought, but there are way too many benches needing to be bought, and the pricing should be the same. I think having benches at 40 rosaries is reasonable, and mind you, they even have some benches which just you have to pay for the moment you stand up. So when you sit on the bench, it's 15 rosaries, but then if you stand up and try to sit again, you have to pay again. What are we doing, Team Cherry? What are we doing? What is this? What are we doing? I don't understand. You have to pay for doors, benches, tagways, maps, pins, tools. It becomes very annoying to track, and I think most people will have to. You have to grind. You have to just take some time in your day and just grind money. I don't think that should be the point of Silksong. I've never had to do that in Hollow Knight ever, because the game was made in ways to give you enough money to be able to afford most of the things in the game. So you never, I mean, in my experience, you never had to go out of your way to grind unless you were trying to get the late game stuff from the Grim Troop, which required you to have 33,000 Geo Kalala. Indeed, I wish my rosaries were Kalala, because this is annoying. And I think because you won't be able to afford the benches sometimes, because you won't be able to afford the tools, you might be in a very bad spot when you do face some challenges, hence why you die. It gets just annoying, and if you do die while carrying a lot of money because you were trying to buy benches and maps, that's you may be tempted to just give up. If you lose 1k, if you lose that much money, I think you might just want to quit. And mind you, you were keeping the money to buy items, to open doors, to just have access to Stagway stations. We're not talking about a game where money makes you stronger because you invest in the skill point, the skill tree. No, you're trying to afford the bare minimum, and you get punished for it. I think either they should make it so that enemies drop more money, like maybe twice. Not twice would break the game. I think enemies should drop 30 to 40% more money, or you can have bosses actually have those secret chests available after you beat them to give you money. It could be 300 rosaries that could make it for the benches and the Stagway stations that you unlocked while trying to get to the boss, and balance the economy. It's very, very bad when you're trying to do anything. I'm not even talking about acquiring all the tools and the sockets and the charms and no, I'm talking about the bare minimum. It takes a lot of money to do the bare minimum in this game, and this may get in the way of you having a good time. The second thing is that, well, the runbacks kind of suck. Now, what is a runback? It's basically you failing to be the boss and trying to get back there. You're trying to run back to the boss. And the runbacks in this game are just going to make you miserable. And I don't even think this is necessary. Think about the hardest game you've played in the last 5 years, except, Silksong. It's probably going to include Elden Ring. And Elden Ring did something no other Souls-like game did before, which was to give you some checkpoints right there at the boss's room, allowing you to start over just like this. Just like this. And guess what? The bosses were still ass. They were still going to kick your ass. So it didn't take away the difficulty of the game. It took away something that would get in the way of you having a good time. And I think this is why the runbacks are terrible in Silksong, because I fail to understand what they are trying to achieve, except trying to get people to just quit the game because they want to get back to the boss but can't. And just to make sure that we are on the same wavelength here, I am not talking about the difficulty of the platforming. I'm talking about its existence, sa raison d'être, the reason why it's there in the first place, except to get in the way of me getting back to the boss and have a good time. I have never heard someone say, well, that was such a good run back, I can't wait to do it again. No, they won't say that because nobody enjoys those. And again, it has nothing to do with the difficulty, but I think the difficulty of the platforming can also sometimes add up to the frustration of people trying to get back to the boss. This is highly unnecessary. And listen, it wouldn't even matter if they were to add closer benches in this game, because the bosses are still going to remain challenging if they were challenging in the first place. I am going to take Elden Ring as an example again. Do you remember Malenia and how much of a menace she was for the first 3 months after the game launched? And mind you, there was a site of grace right outside the boss room. So why was she still challenging? Because the boss was still challenging. It doesn't make it doesn't break the game to have those little, checkpoints here and there to make your life better. And even in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, they also had one right outside Radahn, Promised Consort Radahn boss room. And guess what? He was even harder than Malenia. It doesn't fundamentally break the game, it just makes it easier for you to jump back into the action when you die. That's the whole point. You still had to go in there and look for your soul or whatever your thing was to recover your soul, or I don't know what it's called again. It's just souls. And the same thing applies in Hornet Silksong. You still have to go back there and recover your cocoon, because that's where all your money that you need to buy everything in this game lies. Make the runbacks easier or remove them altogether. It's not going to change anything to the game. And mind you, this is very important. Hollow Knight also had one notoriously bad runback to make it to the Trader Lord, which was a very challenging boss, especially when facing him for the first time because he was dealing double damage. Now here's the thing, by the time you get there, it's pretty late in the game, so you could have your hands on the Dream Gate. Now what is the Dream Gate? It's basically an ability to teleport to a spot that you have previously marked, just like this. So it's almost like the devs recognize that the runbacks in this game can be bad and they give you a tool to cut it short. But then in the sequel, they double down on the runbacks. I don't understand that. That's kind of weird. Unless in the future we get something in the DLC that allows us to just make it easier. But then the game is already over and most people had to undo the runbacks anyway. So what is the point of adding something later that doesn't benefit the game now? I don't know. I feel like the runbacks are very not fun, and I don't understand why they're there in the first place. But maybe you can tell me why we need runbacks in a game like Silksong. Finally, let's talk about what I believe infuriates people the most. enemies dealing 2 HP worth of damage. Now let me ask you a question. What really bothers you? Is it the boss doing 2x damage, or is it that the boss who deals 2x damage also have minions, some minions, just especially flying minions, that can also deal 2x damage in the same fight, making this the most chaotic encounter in the history of the franchise? I think, in my opinion, that the damage is okay. However, I find it baffling that a simple ant can deal as much damage as Nightmare King Graham, the pure vessel of the Absolute Radiance. I'm going to go a step further. You know how in Hollow Knight the hardest gauntlet, the hardest arena is going to be found at the edge of the world at the Coliseum. There you will find waves of enemies, and you could count how many of them could deal double damage, and it would make sense. It always made sense why that enemy in particular, maybe it was due to an explosion, would deal that much damage. And something also important is the fact that you wouldn't have access to the Coliseum until halfway through the game, and you had to choose if you wanted to go there or not. It was a challenge that you had to decide to, overcome by yourself at any given time, a time of your convenience. The reason why I think Hollow Knight worked is because of the pacing and the way they would just put things together. And I still think Hollow Knight is very easy compared to Silksong, but the pacing was just more pleasant, better to experience. I think for a regular person to just jump into the game and just immediately get obliterated has to be the worst experience ever. Now, going back to the Coliseum, it's not just about the damage, it's also about the setup and how not really how much enemies you're going to face, but what type of enemies you would face. When you get those flying primal aspects, you hate it yourself. But looking back, those guys were just doing their job, and I love them. I even love Markov now. This is what Silksong would do to a man. I'm traumatized. But yeah, it's about the setup, and I feel like this is missing in Silksong. I feel like you just throw waves of enemies at you, and everybody just flies. Like, you could count how many flying enemies you had in Hollow Knight, but in Silksong, I feel like half of them just fly. And sometimes they can do both. Sometimes they can fly and walk on the ground. So I think the difficulty is fine, but the pacing is wrong. I think early on in the game, only the big guys should deal 2x damage. I don't understand why a simple ant will deal as much damage, sometimes even more, than Nightmare King. The guy has Nightmare in his name, and he could get bodied by an... I don't think that should be okay. And just to make sure that we are on the same wavelength again, I am okay with bosses doing 2x damage as long as they don't have summons to assist them in the fight. I'm also okay with enemies, even the regular ones, having 2x damage, but not in the early bits of the game. The reason why is because people are just trying to get their footing and they are getting obliterated. It's not a fun experience for a casual, and this is coming from someone who loves hard games. We need to make the experience more pleasant, because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun with it, what is the point? I can promise you that not even 20% of people who bought this game would complete it. And if the game sells 10 million copies, not even a million would finish it. And I'm talking the basic ending, because this game has multiple ones. I'm talking about someone who just kept it casual. I don't think even a tenth, not even a tenth across every single platform is going to complete the game. So you have to wonder, if this is the masterpiece you claim it is, with no, everything is perfect, why is the completion rate so low? Granted, people are always going to drop the game anyway. You can make the perfect game of all time with no flaws whatsoever, and people are still going to drop it because life happens. Maybe something else came in the way. Maybe they forgot about it. Something will happen. But when people drop your game because they're not having fun, you have to question, if the game needs to be balanced, and I think they will make the game easier. And I know we will have those people, we always have those people crying about making a game easier. Oh no, they nerfed Silksong, it's too easy now. What happened to getting good? Get good! What happened to it? Listen, I think fundamentally, the reason why we play video games is to have fun and to be entertained. Let me repeat that again. I think fundamentally, the reason why we play video games is to have fun and be entertained. Most people, would have fun while having a hard experience, a challenging one, but that's not the case for most people. Now, I know what you're about to say. You will say, well, trying to make everybody happy ends up making nobody happy, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, I'm almost done with the game, and this is a beautiful game. This is actually better than Hollow Knight. However, most people will not get to the beautiful part. That's the thing. And as a dev who worked for 7 years, not seeing people get to the not see people get to the beautiful part is an issue. What is the message then? We didn't like what you crafted? No, we couldn't get to it. The more people, when you hear people talk about Hollow Knight, the base game, it's not because of the difficulty. The game is beautiful too. The music, the rhythm, the bosses, the lore, it's about that. And then we talk about the difficulty in P5, the pantheon of Hornet. It comes later. But the difficulty is not the highlight of the game. Stop making games to be difficult. Make games to be good. And I'm not saying Silksong is not a good game, but those things, that I listed before will get in the way of people having fun. And again, the only metric you should focus on when trying to make a game is fun. I've seen beautiful games, like 4K games you could play at the highest resolution possible, but I was not having fun. That's very important. If people don't have fun with your game, there is something wrong. I can promise you that Team Cherry thinks the same, and they will nerf some areas and make it better for some, in some other bits. And I have nothing but respect when it's okay to actually revert those changes when you have new information. People did not like it, people are not happy, and guess what? You can just play something else. You don't have to commit to Silksong. You can just come back to it later. It's out. If we've waited 7 years, it's out. It's not going anywhere. You can enjoy your time, take your sweet time until the game is I'll say convenient for you. So this is the end of the video. I would like to talk about what I love about this game, but it's still pretty soon. The game came out 5 days ago, and most people are taking it slow, and I can't really spoil anything yet. But I think a week from now, I will be able to just talk freely about what I love about this game, and there's so much that I love. And also, I'm working on a tips and tricks video to make your life easier in case Team Cherry takes a long time to do it. So in the meantime, drop a like if you enjoy listening to my beautiful and awkward voice, and subscribe for more. I'll see you soon. Drop a like in the comment to let me know why you disagree with everything I've said, and I'll see you soon. Peace.